Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Trail to the Tower. My name is Michael. I'm your host, and I'm joined with my friends Vince.
Hello.
And Jeremy.
Hello.
Yeah, we're going to take you on a journey to the Dark Tower, and we hope you enjoy the trip. I know, should be fun. So the first stop on our little excursion to the tower is going to be in a small Maine town in 1975 called Jerusalem's Lot, where...
I'm going to bug you for a second. Just for the viewers' sake. What is the Trail to the Tower?
The Trail to the Tower is journey through the works of Stephen King that are directly connected to his magnum opus, The Dark Tower.
We're doing Salem's Lot, which is what? It's a story based in New England. Is this a real New England town, or is it one of Stephen King's renowned fictional New England towns?
It's one of his renowned fictional New England towns. I'm sure it represents a specific town, but I'm not entirely sure. I know that when he writes Derry, he's writing about Bangor. I don't know about Jerusalem's Lot.
To me, when I was reading the book, it felt like just some backwater New England town, and I think that's kind of what he was going for.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that. So, a little backstory about the book. Salem's Lot was written in 1975. It follows a writer named Ben Mears who returns to his hometown of Jerusalem's Lot in Maine, where he lived from the ages of 5 through 9, only to discover that the residents are slowly becoming vampires. The idea came to him one day when he was assigning work to his high school English class. They were reading Dracula. That night, when he was talking to his wife about it, he thought, what do you think would happen if Dracula came to modern-day America? And she jokingly said he'd probably get hit by a taxi. So that got him thinking, okay, if he showed up in the city, he'd get hit by a taxi. He's like, but what if he came to a small town? And that's where the idea for the book came from. In the foreword, King talks about when he was younger, his mom always encouraged him to read. And even if the books were what she considered trash, she was just happy that they were reading. And one day he asked her to pick him up Dracula because he'd heard some of his friends talking about it. And she gave it a quick read through, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know if you're gonna like it. It's formatted weird. It's all like newspaper clippings and letters to different characters in it." And she also informed him that it was indeed trash.
And then I remember it also saying something about there was another vampire movie where the vampires were more intense than Dracula, where Dracula had his nuances, like he's a very charming monster, if that's fair to say, like the Bram Stoker Dracula. He's a smooth operator, if you will, where these ones were more like zombies on, rabies.
I'm into chapter 6 of Salem's Lot. It's kind of just getting interesting now, but yeah.
Bad Vince.
There's been so many adaptations of King's works, like all the movies in the 90s, the remakes now.
Another fun fact about Salem's Lot is its original title was actually Second Coming.
That works too.
Yeah, but then his wife pointed out that makes it sound like a porno book. So it was changed.
Yeah, at the time, I could imagine that would be one of them smut books there.
Yeah.
It's just a vampire and a bunch of kids at the No, his inspiration was the high school. So okay, never mind. There's a little. I forget. Is it like a coven in this? Is it like coven mentality?
Well, I mean, he's trying to take over the town. I mean, I don't see to what end, because he's going to run out of people eventually.
Yeah, that's the... Okay, all right.
It's kind of funny because of what our podcast idea is. It's the Trail to the Dark Tower. More of that gets revealed in the Dark Tower.
Yes.
That's true. I guess this would be like these little stories are like the side effect of what's going on over there.
Some of them actually lead directly into what's going on over there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's part of this journey, so we will eventually spoil it, just not right at this moment. But yes it's definitely... It's not a character you'd expect, either.
Yeah, so, yes. A character will show up again later. That is why this is important. Also, the concept of the vampires in the Stephen King universe is also very important.
Okay, I see now. So they all sort of like Avenger style at the end. Gotcha.
Kind of.
This is a weird multiverse because it's Stephen King. I mean, would you expect anything different from the man?
Yes. But we're not at the Macroverse yet, so.
Has he finished his Dark Tower?
Oh, yes. It's been finished for years.
Okay, all right.
So the story begins with our hero, Benjamin Mears, returning to a town that he spent several summers at as a child. He had a terrible interaction at the local spooky house, and it's kind of scarred him forever. I don't know about you guys, but growing up, we had a spooky house in my hometown. It was
My house was the spooky house.
It laid abandoned for quite a few years. It was on a corner by like the gas station and everything, and all like the stories and stuff were that like you would find like dead animals in the fridge and like heads in the toilets and stuff. I never personally went in because I was a big wimp, but I don't know, that's just the stories. I don't know if you guys have any stories like that from your hometowns, but I'm pretty certain most small towns have a story like that.
I don't know if in the beach where I grew up, there was like really a spooky house. There was an abandoned building we used to call the Urinal Turtle. It used to be like a storage unit, it looked like. But it had a basement with these old ass stairs, and they were creepy as hell, and no one would go down there, right? And me, I really just didn't care. So I went down, and it was like a family of possums or something living down there. I'm like, yeah, I'm never going back down there again. But that was like the spookiest little place I can remember. But again, we were surrounded by forest there too. So I mean, those are just spooky in their own right at night.
How about you, Vince? Any besides your own house, any spooky places when you were growing up that would have a
like a reputation?
like a reputation, like in the book it's the Marston house.
Yeah, the schoolyard local legend. I lived in Port. I mean, it was all kind of like Port is sort of like the Salem's Lot of Canada. Everything was generally spooky. Like
There was just an air about the whole town that breathed like, this is a horror movie.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
There were a few abandoned places here and there, but like they were old. Like the farm barns or the old silos or like some old like smaller version of the estate, but nothing particularly haunted or anything. There was a haunted correctional facility, that's about it. But that was a bit out of town.
That kind of fits, I guess.
Spooky building.
Spooky building, it works. But
And
yeah.
spooky building covered in barbed wire.
Ooh, even spookier.
Or kinky, depending on what faction you're from.
Well, I guess that is correct, yeah.
So Ben Mears comes back to town, yeah?
Yes, he's planning on writing a book, loosely based around the Marston house and or the town itself in general. He's not entirely sure yet, but he wants to regain that like
Boyhood fear.
yes, kind of. He wants to channel it into his creative process. At least that's how I interpret it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it.
Yeah, in the first little part, we're kind of given a hint at that something happened to him in that house that he doesn't really like talking about. I mean, we of course find out later that he saw a ghost in there, but
Yeah, we don't have to go all the way through the whole book point for point, do we?
yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
So
So yeah, just you might as well run with the story. The house he feels is inherently evil itself, built right into the walls.
and that may actually be the case. I haven't read Jerusalem's Lot yet, which is a little prequel short story, and there is actually a series right now. I don't remember the name. I think it's Chapel Light or something. That's a prequel to the Salem's Lot books, and it stars Adrian Brody.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's definitely on the list of something for me to watch at some point. But besides that, I'm not an expert on the past of Jerusalem's Lot, but it is in a couple of books. So at some point I'll get them.
Down once because of a fire.
Beg your pardon?
Didn't Jerusalem's Lot burn down, and that's now where Salem Lot is? I thought I read that in the book.
There was a fire, yes, but it only like burnt down half the town. It stopped before it reached the Marston house. So they did rebuild. People still live there. Salem's Lot is actually just like a slang name for it.
Yeah, just like a more modern name.
Yeah.
Just to cut syllables. Okay. I thought so.
Pretty much. It's like how people in like say Wasaga Beach just call it the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tirana. Yeah, fair enough.
It's the lot or
It's an
Salem's Lot.
abbreviation of We're lazy, so we start speaking lazy. No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're at the Marsden house. It's evil. Two owners did a whole bunch of stuff with like devil sacrifices and kidnapping kids from town. Anytime somebody lives in that house, kids from town start going missing.
It's not a very nice house, that's for sure. So
Yeah, I wouldn't go trick or treating there.
so what are our thoughts on Ben?
I liked him. I thought he was a well-written character. You can tell it was Stephen King kind of tooting his own horn, making, a New England writer.
This is the first of many New England writers in Stephen King books, or writers in general.
Yeah,
I should
he
say.
takes what he knows and just sort of applies it. It's kind of meant to be the everyman, and yet it's not.
Well, you write what you know, right? And this is
exactly.
second novel,
And it's not a bad read. It's not.
Well, I was entertained all the way through. I'm gonna go back into the main storyline again. Susan was, and I know we're gonna cover her in the next couple of sheets, so I don't want to dwell on it too much. What a useless plot point!
Oh my God, she's such an idiot.
Like what a useless. Like I said, we got to go through more of the characters, but I have a couple more topics about her I want to touch on.
Susan Norton is our next character that we're going to talk about. So
Okay.
yeah.
I want to jump on Susan first.
Okay.
Because I think you guys might both agree with me. But I found her to be just a useless, ham-fisted plot point. There's another character we're going to talk about, Matt, the English teacher. I felt like if the times were different, Matt could have just been put into Susan's place and just cut her right out of the novel.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Matt in a second, and then you'll understand a little bit more why.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was the damsel in distress to be the damsel in distress.
Yeah. Also, like, not a very smart character. I know she did what she did so the plot could progress, but like, it's like don't go to this house. There's a vampire there. He'll get you. She's like, I'm going to go to that house. Like,
You can't tell me what to do.
I'm a strong, independent woman.
and it's not like there hadn't been stuff going on by that point. A lot of shit had happened. Like, a lot of people had died. And
already confirmed vampires.
And she's just like, I'm gonna go. What's the worst that could happen?
Ma'am, we're warning you. Don't go.
Yeah.
We're not saying you can't do it. We're saying you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
We aren't over exaggerating. We're not creating anything. We're not original. You will die.
Also, I think Stephen King has a thing about naming characters Susan.
I was going to say that too.
There's at least 4 I can think of, just off the top of my head.
And then abbreviations of the name.
Yeah, there's 2 in the Dark Tower. There's 1 here. There's 1 in the Stand. Like,
Yeah.
No, you're wrong. It's all the same character.
I mean, maybe. Who knows? They all have blonde hair. So.
Very well could be then. We could be onto something here.
One had blonde hair and a mustache. The other one had blonde hair and glasses, and the other one had blonde hair and a poodle. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but I feel like I agree with you, Jeremy. She is a very underutilized character. Like,
Final boss, Susan.
Like, I feel that she could have been used so much better. I don't know how exactly. I'm not Stephen King. But
honestly, we'll get to it. I'll tell you how she could have been used better. But we've got who's the next character? It's right? Mark?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Mark Petrie. I really like Mark Petrie, actually. He's like my he likes horror as much as me, I guess.
I love the kid, but that was towards the end of the book, because when I first started reading it, I'm like, this kid is gonna be such a burden, isn't he? And then the kid steps it up.
Yeah, Mark's Mark's great.
Like in my opinion, he's the hero of the book.
A lot of the main heroes of Stephen King books end up being children, which is kind of fun. Like,
yeah, like this kid just he comes in and he kind of lays down the movie monster lore to the adults. He's like, it's vampires. Like, what? How do you know? Like, Like the kid's he always seems to be like 2 steps ahead of the adults.
I also like his how he ends up in the future. I think it suits him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're there yet, but
No, not yet. But it sounds freaking phenomenal.
yeah, he's he I think he ends up in a
No.
I think out of all the characters from Salem's Lot, he gets the best ending. Like after everything is all said and done, and all the other books have been done, I feel that he has one of the better like character endings for the main cast of characters in Salem's Lot.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So does he have more stories that he's in?
Not that I'm aware of, but we do get a mention of him in something else. So,
Okay.
yes.
But yeah, no, like I said, the kid, he watches his parents get their heads crushed in, right? He watches a priest lose his faith. He still takes on this vampire, like he's on a blood quest mission. And correct me if I'm wrong, he is not. He is the reason that the what is it, Stalker?
Straker.
Straker winds up getting eaten by Barlow.
Yes.
Yeah. So like this kid is just winning all over the board, and like when the opening, how it starts at the end of the book, we gotta go back.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I felt like he was just gonna be such a little mopey character, and then he was written so strong, and then you understand why the kid's like that. I'm like, that kid has been through the fucking ringer, back again, and then put through one more time just for good measures. Like,
Yep.
I can't say enough good things about the kid. He wrote him very well. I enjoyed him every time he was in the book. I started to enjoy him. Plus, he had one of the creepiest scenes for me in the book.
Oh yeah.
He was like tapping on his window or scratching on the window.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that soon when we talk about our favorite parts. Vince, anything to say on Mark before we move on?
Are we going to try to cast these individuals?
I mean, if you want to, I'm actually pretty happy with the newest adaptations cast. It's not out yet because it's on a shelf somewhere, but I think the casting is pretty on point.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the which Salem's Lot?
The newest one. It's not. It's out. It's finished and
newest one.
everything. It's just not out yet. They're being weird.
Yeah, shipping's weird these days. But anyway, it's the times. So next character?
Yeah, we're moving on to Matthew Burke, the high school English teacher slash guy who runs the plays. He's kind of like, I guess he'd be their Van Helsing, eh? He's does all the research and whatnot.
I think the Van Helsing character was actually split up between two.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt's the mum. Like, he loves everybody. He tries to take care of everybody. It even shows when he takes, was it Mike from the cemetery?
Yes, Mike Ryerson. Or
Yeah,
something.
where he takes Mike in and tries to make sure he's all right, even though they're already onto the something's fucking up here.
Yeah.
Like, there's vampires. These people aren't normal anymore. Yeah. And yeah, like he just felt like the dad. Like, I want to make sure all of the students I've ever taught are all right. You know what I mean?
He's a very sweet man. He just wants everyone to be safe.
Honestly, in the book, I feel like Matt could have taken over all of Susan's parts because of how he dies in the book. He's kind of just written out in the hospital because of his heart, right?
Yes.
And I felt like the main character had more of a connection with him than he did with the love interest that was written in for him. And that's where I say if the times were a little different when he was writing it, he might have had more balls to put it in at that time. But this being his second book, because King does push taboo all through his books, right?
Yes, he's big on that.
Yeah, but I think because he was a young author at the time writing it, he didn't want to rock the boat until he was better established to put that stuff in.
Yes.
Because I think it could have been a gay relationship between the men. What's the lead character's name?
Ben Mears.
Ben. Yeah, between Ben and Matt. They could have been the love interest of each other because they spend so much time. They feel like they have more of a connection throughout the book. I felt more of a loss when Matt died than when Susan gets staked. And I'm like, that's...
Yeah. I mean...
I'm like, no, not Matt. I'm like, Susan, you got what you deserved.
Yeah.
And I'm not. It just how stupid her actions were. Like, it was almost like if you just gave Matt Susan's version, I think it would have been more fleshed out and a better love story overall.
Interesting point.
Yeah, I think.
Stephen King has this sort of tone, this sort of grim, sort of yes and situation.
Our next character is Father Donald Callahan, the alcoholic priest.
He's not an alcoholic yet.
He's getting there.
He's only got 2 strikes against him. Barlow gives him the 3rd.
That's true. That's true. I really like the character Father Callahan. He shows up in later works as well, which I feel is great because
What is it? Wolves of Kalala?
yeah, Wolves of the Kala, yes.
Kala. Yeah.
So I mean that's fun, and you get to find out what happened to him after the events of the book, which we'll cover once we hit Wolves of the Kala. I just think that it's a very well-written little novella inside of the novel. Like, I'm pretty sure that his story was in a couple short story books as well, but I'm not entirely sure on that one. I don't have all of those yet. I thought he was great as a man who's battling with his own faith, doesn't know if he should continue. He's kind of a little lost, but he still does try to do the right thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the character. I thought they got the broken man very well in him. Like, he's divided. He wants to tend to his flock, but his faith's so wavered. And then he has the showdown with Barlow where, what's the kid's name?
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah.
Where Mark watches his parents' heads get crushed in, and then watch a priest literally have a cross, put this bad vampire, like the big boss vampire, down, and then watch him bounce back and go, you know what? Let's do a challenge of faith. I got the kid now. Either you drop the cross or I slit his throat, and then we'll go faith versus faith, and then the father just falls apart.
Yep.
Like, he knew his faith, the bad guy knew the faith was wavering and just destroyed it right there. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, Mike, later on in the Wolves of Cal, it was. I'm only halfway through what happened to him in the book, but like already you're like, man, he goes through some shit.
Yes, he is a completely different man by the time he's finished it, and I just love that character growth. It feels very, very earned. Like, he is one of the better written King characters in general.
And the fact you know why you know that? Because he used him again. Like, he brought him back somewhere because his story wasn't done when he leaves Salem's Lot. No. He runs away. Like,
yeah, that was like that's real. Truly, it's the beginning of his hero story.
His journey. Yeah. I really enjoyed the priest. Again, when he first came in, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna. And then Irish priest, broken faith. I'm like, all right, this just hits too many good tropes not to want to follow this character down his rabbit hole.
Yep, and it's a beautiful little rabbit hole.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I just noticed looking at his last name. If you drop the last 3 letters off of it, what does that say?
Yep. Callahan, huh?
Yeah, Kala.
Yeah.
So we're on to Jimmy Cody.
Yes, Dr. Jimmy Cody. I feel bad for Jimmy Cody.
Right, honestly, he was so forgettable to me.
Yeah, but like, he has like the worst death. He fucking falls onto all those knives.
Yeah, he gets skewered quite nicely. But I mean, he does have enough wits about him to save the kid the same fate. So
yeah. In the TNT adaptation, he falls on a circular saw. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, instead of the knives, he's falling and they like cut the stairs and he falls right on top of the spinning saw blade. Like, chest first.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? At least it's better than how he died in the fucking 1970s miniseries. Me and Megan watched that last night. I'm like, he gets impaled on antlers? I don't even know what characters are what characters anymore.
Well, that's because they combined a bunch of characters.
I know. I said that to Megan. I go, oh, these are these 2 characters.
Yeah, they combined Susan's father with Cody in the original.
Yeah, it was just so weird.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they did it. It's just cutting back on a cast member.
it's a time restraint too. They only had an hour.
Yeah, exactly. They can only work for so much. They can't compact a book like Kings into
3 hours. It just doesn't work.
There's just way too much there.
Let's see. I really like the scene with Cody when they're waiting for I think it was Marjorie Glick's body to reanimate, and they're in the morgue.
Yeah. Honestly, that's probably that and the knife scene are the two most memorable for me. Because otherwise, honestly, on my page, I have guy that fell on knives.
Guy that fell on knives. I mean, that's an accurate description of him.
He just didn't grab my attention in this grouping as much as the other characters did. Like, I had more interest in Ben, Matt, and the kid than Jimmy, and it might be because of how late he was introduced into that little group.
Yeah, he's he comes in like quarter of the way through the book, maybe a little farther.
And then he doesn't really join up with the group until about halfway through, maybe, 3/4 in, where he's like, yeah, I believe you now.
And even then, he's kind of reluctant. He's kind of like, oh, we should leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would be like, we should leave too. I mean, I don't want to put up with vampires. That shit's annoying.
Inconvenient at best.
Do exactly what they do at the end of the book and just burn it down on my way out.
Yep. That's a good one. And I believe that brings us to the end of our heroes.
Yeah.
There's only 2 villains in this one. We're going to talk about Richard Throckett Straker first. English gentleman, wears nice suits, best friends with a vampire. They may be a couple. Who knows?
Again, I noticed that too. I thought they were a couple, to be perfectly honest, and then I'm like, okay, that's why Susan was written in.
Yeah. I mean, if they are, it's never directly stated. But, I mean, who cares?
A few townsfolk allude to the fact that they may be. And then after the FBI report, I believe they allude to it a little bit harder. Like, oh, they've been together for like 2 decades. Like,
yeah. But,
I love the character. I thought he played the creepy henchman, like the Igor, if you will.
Yes.
Very well. Like,
the Renfield, to be exact.
Yeah, Renfield. Without the hunchback so much, he was more of an upstanding, like, all right, he's just British, so he's weird, right? And I mean, at the 1970 time frame when this was written, that would kind of be, he's just eccentric because he's British.
Yes.
And he could maneuver with that, and I found he made the character use his charm, like ciao. That's goodbye in Italian.
Learn something new every day. He is actually played by Donald Sutherland in the 2004 miniseries.
I searched so hard to find that one. It's not on any streaming services to buy right now.
I know, you have to...
Find it either.
I don't think it's available to buy anywhere. I think it was like a TV thing only. So you have to be a little...
Well, the problem is when you Google search it, right? It'll come up. You can purchase it on the Apple Store, Google Play, and like YouTube videos, and then you click on it, and it's like, this is no longer available. So I think it's a licensing thing.
Yeah, probably. I have a alternative copy, so...
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're running a little long, so how about we go to the gentleman I'm most interested in hearing about? That would be Barlow.
Kurt Barlow. Yes. Our main villain, Fancy Vampire Man.
Brilliant. I
Yes.
loved him.
Oh, yeah,
I
he's-
loved how he was used. I loved every time he was in the book, there was just this fucking edge of dread. Like you knew shit was going bad when he showed up. Whoever he was talking to, well, you're gonna be a zombie vampire. Like, you just... And it was in this, like, the fog, the wind that blows in with him, Like, he just has a nuance of evil.
Yes. He's also supposed to be, like, thousands of years old. Like, he is ancient. He's, what's referred to as one of the grandfathers, I believe, in the Dark Tower series.
I don't think I'm that far yet, so...
No, you're not.
That'll be good to read.
They don't have a big role, but they're in one part and they're mentioned.
Oh, that's cool. I've caught a lot of the stuff that ties into this in this stand, because that's the other one I've read so far.
Yeah. Those are the most important ones, But
There's
like,
more.
yeah.
Because I remember reading parts of the Dreamcatcher, and I'm pretty sure the bad guy in that, I gotta go read it again, is connected to it too.
Maybe I haven't done Dreamcatcher yet, honestly.
Yeah, I did it.
So I love the way he's described in the book. Like it's
Yeah.
like he's constantly like in a 3-piece suit. He's just like a super fancily dressed man. Like
The red bow tie or the red tie knotted up
he's
properly.
like super tall and like thin. Like
I loved it. I loved the character. I love how he almost had like a Nosferatu feel to him. Like he drew from so many vampire things. It was great to see them all come together in this world he made in New England. Like it was fucking brilliant. I loved the villain.
yeah, the scene as you talked about it earlier, but the scene with Mark and his family and Father Callahan, like that's a great fucking like chapter. Like he like
Did you-
breaks in. Like I just want to know how the fuck he got into their house to begin with. He wasn't invited in. No idea how he got in there. Yeah,
You need to be invited. I am a god.
I guess he was just so so old and stuff that he could just enter without being invited.
Challenge
Blew through the window.
He just smashes through the window, cracks some heads together, challenges a priest.
That makes a priest regret his faith.
Like,
Like, and this is all in the course of what, 5, 10, 15 minutes in the book?
I'd say probably about 5 minutes.
But that's what I meant about, like, him in the book was phenomenal. And again, I only got to watch the 1970s miniseries. What the fuck was that?
Yeah. I mean, I love the look of him in that, but the actor couldn't talk because of the mouth prosthetics.
That's what I mean. Like, why not tone those down so you could get a nuanced actor to... I feel the British guy that played Stalker could have done a better job playing Barlow. And if they had just made him look like the rest of the other vampires, maybe weathered a bit more. But I'm diverting from the book. But yeah, that was the worst part of the miniseries, seeing him pop up for the first time. And it was ridiculous how he pops up. Like, fuck. Fuck.
I mean, I love the original miniseries. It was also directed by Toby Hooper, so I mean that's good too.
Oh, it was fun
Like,
to watch.
but-
Like I sat down, watched it all, and I think I took an intermission at an hour and a half because it's 3 hours long, and I like to just get up and stretch out a bit. But I was into it. I read the book, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, so you two are these two characters, you two are these two characters, and Megan's watching it with me, so I'm explaining to her. I go, well, they fucked the book up at this point, like.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to our favorite parts. I guess I'll start with that one. So, my favorite part is the scene where the Glick brothers are lost in the woods, heading home from Mark's, and when Straker kidnaps the younger brother. Just the way that it's written. The first time I ever listened to it, I was just laying in bed trying to get to sleep, and it legitimately scared me. Like, it's the first time, like, a Stephen King book had legitimately freaked me out. And it's,
Really?
yeah, and it's just, like, always just, like, lived in there now. Which is good, because one of the things that originally scared me the most as a kid was from the 1975 miniseries. We had the movie version at home. And it was the scene you were talking about earlier, when Danny Glick's at Mark's window, scratching to get let in.
Come on, Mark, let me in.
Yeah, that used to scare the shit out of me so much so that I cannot sleep with my window open or with my blinds open. To this day, I cannot fucking do it.
Dang.
Here's your childhood trauma, my friend.
Yeah, like to this day, I cannot.
You know how to fuck with Mike on a very subconscious level.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why I need to have my window closed and my blind shut.
And that was your favorite scene, eh?
Yes, that is my favorite scene in the book.
And now everyone knows.
Yep.
Mike's a bedwetter. Oh no, that's not what this was about.
Deepest, darkest fear. Anyway.
So I have three. I had three really scenes that stuck with me. Even like I said, I've read I think 6 books since then. When Ben was talking about his childhood experience in the house, and like that scene just before he opens the door, and how he's like, you almost know that there was going to be something there. And then I open the door, and I can't remember the guy's name. He has a silly name, the guy that was hanging.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
remember?
Fuck. Literally was just mentioned it before we started this.
Starts with an L, doesn't it?
Marston. His last name is Marston. It's the Marston house. Hubie Marston.
QB.
Yeah, Hubie.
Yeah, that was it, right? So he's like, there's QB hanging there with, and then the grotesque decomposing state that he wrote him in. I'm like, that's fucking gnarly. And then he looks at me. I'm like, whoa. All right, time to leave. Like even before I heard that, I ran as fast as I could out of the house. I had already said, like, my flight or fight kicked in. I'm like, you can't fight zombies. Get out.
Yes.
That scene stuck with me. The knives at the bottom of the stairs were just brutal. I'm like, oh, like 13 kitchen blades, and if the kid had just said something, he could have saved them. But how do you know they were going to stick 13 kitchen blades in a piece of plywood at the bottom of the stairs they cut off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Did Vulcan trap the basement for the vampire, or did the vampires just trap the basement for...
the vampire set the trap for the humans.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, one of my...
Good context, then.
I think it just drove home the part for how sophisticated Barlow's thinking was when they left
A whole bunch of knives at the end of the stairs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and he knew they'd be hunting him, right? So, like, I get it.
I mean, yeah, in his credit, it is pretty janky, but I mean, it worked. It was efficient. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
They didn't see it coming.
It's true. But you have to remember, like, Barlow's been at the game for how many years? Like...
No, but that's, again...
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure you'd want to keep it interesting.
As the reader, I don't have to remember that because I'm about to be taught that.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's what I loved. Barlow was always like, okay, so Jake was always like 2 steps ahead of the adults. Barlow was playing an entirely different game than the rest of them for most of the book.
Yes.
Like he was always 19 steps ahead, and then it was like, if they had worked as individuals, he would have murdered the town. But because this group of like 6 or 7 town folk came together and went, fuck these vampires, they won.
Yep. And barely. I mean, if you could consider it a win. Like,
you lost your priest, and
almost the entire town has been killed at this point. So, I mean...
and that was it, right? At the end of the book, they go to burn the town to start staking the rest of them. That was brilliantly written, too, because it was more alluded to that that's what was up, as they throw the cigarette into the dry bush and just wait.
Yep.
Like, oh, that was great.
That implies so much, yeah.
Yes. It was a
cliffhanger.
It was a great little story.
Oh, and one thing I forgot to say it about the opening of the book, the priest, when he described how the kid wept, like from the bottom of his soul he wept. Is it true? Every word. Like Ben backs him up infallibly. Every word he says is true.
Yes, that is
one of my favorite scenes in the book was when Marjorie Glick and her husband, I forget his name, are at the funeral. And just that moment of like pure emotional
breakdown,
like distress.
Yeah, it's so like perturbing. It's not disturbing. It's hard to even imagine someone in that situation just from how King's just describing this guy's wails.
I was listening to it a little bit before. Again, I was listening to it again today, and I literally just finished that part of the book. And yeah, it's it's a hard one to get through that part. It's just like, oh man, this guy, his entire life is just completely gone now. Like,
yeah. That was. You're right. I forgot all about that scene, but that was. when I listened to it, I think I went back to re-listen to the whole scene again, the setup, because it was just that heavy. That moment of a father's grief. Both my boys are gone. My wife's gone into this basket case scenario. Like, what the fuck? My whole world was taken out in 3 days.
Yep. Fucking.
Yep.
Actually, I think it was 2. Like,
Whatever the count was, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes in King's novels, I find time's just irrelevant in most of it. Because he'll come back and reset the time frame again, like 3 times in the book. So it's like, okay, I'm lost as to what day we're on now.
Yeah, honestly, I just kind of like chop it up to recent happenings, you know? Like, yeah, it happened. It's still fresh.
But yeah, overall, this book was phenomenal. I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah. I would honestly recommend it to anyone, especially if this is their first Stephen King book. This is a great place to jump on.
I'm gonna add something to that, especially if this is your first Stephen King book and you've read Bram Stoker's Dracula. You'll see a lot of similarities in some of the characters.
And if you're like me, and if you're sort of relatively new to King's works, like you've heard about it, you've seen like some of the more famous movies, these stories are much more different. Yeah, exactly. They're much more nuanced. It's a fresh take on sort of, I don't know, like a 80s horror genre meets, like the classic story of Dracula.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect it to be. It's different for everybody. It just hits different for everybody. That's about all I can say.
Now, I will be the first to say that not every work from Stephen King is for everyone. There are some things in some of his books that people find distasteful. We'll get more into that when we hit it, because there's a scene in there that I personally skip after the first time.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But we won't talk about that one just yet.
Well, I mean, the fact that we're covering Stephen King's book, I don't really think I need to say viewer discretion is advised. It should just kind of be implied. But we live in a
for sure it should be heavily implied.
Yeah.
But on paper.
Yes.
Lo and behold.
There's 3 adaptations for this, but we only currently have 2 of them.
The other one's a stage play.
Actually, there might be. I mean, I haven't looked that one up. So, the original, the 1975 adaptation by Toby Hooper. Bleh. I like it, but I kind of feel like Ben's kind of a creep in it.
What, is this the miniseries?
Yeah.
I think Ben was wrongly cast. If you know anything about the actor that plays Ben, he's Hutch from Starsky and Hutch. So he fit the look, but I mean, you got a guy do an action comedy, like sitcom, going to a Stephen King series. Yeah. The timing for the actor, I think, was wrong. They could have cast it better, and we wouldn't have got that creepy vibe off of him.
Yeah. Well, okay, so in the book, when he meets Susan, originally...
That was fucking creepy,
She is watching him. He's just at the park, enjoying himself, and he notices her looking at him, and then he goes and introduces himself and everything. But in the miniseries, he's fucking hiding behind some bushes as she's drawing. It's just that's fucking creepy.
Hey, is that my book, baby? You want to go to dinner? That's not a no.
He's strangely aggressive. Okay.
It was the 1970s. I mean, shit was a little different back then too, so you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Either the actor knew a guy, or the creative vision was a tad askew.
After that, the relationship is fine.
I'm gonna say it right now: cocaine.
Yeah. No, Cocaine King was until the 80s.
Yeah. What was the miniseries? 1979.
1975.
Oh, okay. So cocaine was getting its start.
Yeah, but we didn't have Cocaine King until the 80s.
Popular in the 80s. It had to start somewhere to become popular, Mike.
Yes.
Hollywood, baby. Hollywood.
Yep.
I like the versions of most everyone in the original miniseries. I feel like they did the best they could. I mean, there's actually no blood in it.
Callahan was an absolute waste in that miniseries.
Oh yeah, he just he's there then fucking pisses off. They don't even show him leaving.
Today after watching it last night, he had 7 minutes of screen time. And I don't know if Dark Tower was even thought of back then, but for the potential that character had, they gave him 7 minutes of screen time, and you didn't even know he was questioning his faith. They missed the one thing you needed to hit with that character.
However, there is a superior adaptation, which is the 2004 adaptation.
The one I can't fucking find. Fuck you.
Yes. It has some pretty fun actors in it. Rob Lowe plays Ben Mears.
He loves Stephen King things.
Yes.
Right?
So it was fun to have Nick Andros speaking for once.
Well, we got him speaking in the dreams.
I know, but like this is an entire thing. As I mentioned earlier, Donald Sutherland played Richard Straker.
That'd be incredible.
Oh, it was.
Chef's kiss.
It was perfect casting. Rutger Hauer plays Kurt Barlow.
Who?
Rutger Hauer.
What's he from? You gotta give me some other. I don't know actors very well unless I know what the role is they've played.
He was the hobo in Hobo with a Shotgun.
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
He was also the bad guy in the original Hitcher movie.
Okay, yeah, no, I know who you meant from Hobo with a Shotgun, but yeah, he'd be brilliant for the role.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Blade Runner, Nighthawk. He was in Buffy, Batman Begins.
Oh yeah, he did play the the head vampire in Buffy, didn't he? In the original movie.
Oh, a call back to his other days.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, I'm gonna butcher this last name. Andre Barger? I don't know. Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He played Matt Burke.
Nice.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Now I really gotta hunt this thing down.
I'm seeing if
find a way to buy it.
I'm seeing if there's anyone else of note. Samantha Mathis played Susan in that as well. She played Daisy in the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993.
Oh, no kidding. As soon as you said it, I knew who you were talking about, like mental image and all.
Yep. Let's see. Was she anything else of note? Oh, she was apparently in Lock and Key for a couple episodes. It doesn't say who she played, though.
That's an interesting show. I really enjoyed that so far.
That's actually based off Stephen King's son's comic book series of the same name.
You were telling me. I'm really hoping that he follows in Dad's footsteps.
Oh,
I mean,
he's a fantastic writer. He's a fantastic writer. I have a couple of his books.
I will have to listen to some of those at a point where I'm done the Dark Tower, because I don't think I'm stopping that right now.
He actually has one that is connected to The Shining.
The Dark Tower?
No, The Shining.
Well, isn't The Shining connected to the Dark Tower?
Kind of.
Well, they all have that gift, right? A land.
Yeah, The Shine.
The Shine. Or the... Is it The Shine? No, it's not. It's The Shine.
It's The Touch. The Touch.
Yeah, The Touch. It's. I figure those are the same thing.
Yeah, they are. It's just a different name. That's all of the really notable actors that were in the second adaptation.
Now, in your opinion, because I haven't seen it, and I don't know if Vince has or not, so both opinions are good if you've both seen it. Is it more accurate to the novel, or did they screw around with it too?
They screwed around with it a bit.
Compared to the 1970s one, like on a 1970s screwed around with it on a 1 to 10 or a 0 to 10 scale for me. Like 10.
It's just like what creative liberties they take when making these adaptations.
I'd say about a 6.
Not bad. I can live with that. I could live with almost a 50-50.
They made the Crockett guy. He's kind of really fucking skeezy. Like it's implied that he's sleeping with his daughter.
Oh.
Yeah?
And there's also like weird shit in King's works like that as well. So I mean, be prepared.
Yeah, I mean, there's southern things that happen that aren't necessarily wrong that he writes about. Like, you know what I mean? It happens in places, is what I'm saying. I shouldn't have said southern. It doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
But there are people that bang their family members. It's an unfortunate thing of life.
Yep.
And I mean, with the tones he takes in his books, unfortunate is a way of life. Like,
but it's pretty great because they don't turn her father in the book. They just rip him apart because he's a terrible person, and they're like, we don't want you to be a vampire. So
We're too good for you.
yeah, pretty much. But if you can't find it, I honestly think it is it's a more accurate adaptation. They do take liberties. They have the scene with Father Callahan with the faith off with Barlow, and Barlow makes him drink some of his blood.
Good,
But
because that has to be visible, or it doesn't make the turn doesn't make sense.
But then they made him into the new Straker.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So that's weird. Like it's the series' book ended with the beginning. Ben is chasing Father Callahan through a homeless shelter in New York City. Yep, which I'm assuming is home.
interesting.
And then he tackles him out of a window. And then he's up in the hospital, and he's telling this nurse or doctor, I'm not sure which, the story of why he did it, because the doctor was Christian or something, is why should we just not let you die? You just tackled a priest out of a window. So so Ben tells him the story, and
It's not a priest
yeah.
anymore.
So it's interesting. Then at the end, Mark has suffocated Callahan, and Ben dies, and Mark just kind of wanders off by himself. It's a quite different ending.
Sorry, I'm gonna go get hit by a cab now.
Yeah, maybe. There are other worlds than these.
Yeah,
After all.
that's what I was thinking. Yep, absolutely, sir.
Yeah. So I mean, I highly recommend the 2004 remake.
I believe that's the remake. So I've been hunting that one. I will keep on the hunt to watch that one because I do enjoy the adaptations. We'll talk, depending on which one at the end of this you decide is our next book. We may be talking more about miniseries in the future of other titles.
Yes. I mean, I would love to go into a dive into the Stand miniseries.
Oh, that might be a bigger podcast because I do too.
That might be it's different than a podcast. That might just be a full on discussion video with clips and shit.
Maybe we do that after we do the book review one.
Yes. I would like to do. Well, okay. I'm trying to figure out which one is the shorter version, the shortest book to do next. Because the Stand I think is the longest book in the list.
Yeah, it's 48 hours.
Yeah. Where
3 days, boys, 3 days.
That's
I got hooked. I lost sleep to that book.
It's so good. So yeah, any final thoughts on Salem's Lot?
Read it. If you haven't read it, read it. If you don't read, listen to it. And if you can't listen to it, have somebody else read it to you.
Yeah, or Braille. I mean, pick
Braille.
one.
Yeah, I guess for our non-visionary people. Is that right? Blind? Can I say blind? Is blind derogatory?
I don't think so.
Are they offended by that yet? Okay, cool. So
I'll let you know.
Yeah, you guys just got to keep me mediated. I just don't know the proper terms for the time. And they change so much, I just don't have the time to remember them all every day.
I don't have the patience either. I don't speak for anybody. I speak for me. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Tell me what you want to be referred to as, and I will refer to you as it.
Yes. So, yeah, my final thoughts are 100% read the goddamn book. It's great. Hopefully you'll love it. It's a really good jumping on point for Stephen King books. I mean, 95% of them are standalone. And even the ones that are connected to others, you don't really need to read any of the others. So,
unless you're doing the Dark Tower series,
yes,
you need to run those in some. Well, he did a 4.5 after the series was done, so who the hell knows with King? There could be another one in the Dark Tower series yet.
Oh God, I wish. I would be so happy if we got another Dark Tower book before he dies. So.
Well, I'm kind of hoping he has just a bunch of stuff written and his kid goes through it and kind of cobbles another Dark Tower series together out of it.
Yes, that would be great. There's still
rolling, he just puts it onto a pile, mentions any of them.
Yeah. There's 2 stories that have been mentioned in the Dark Tower series that we don't actually know, how it went down. There's the Fall of Gilead and then the Battle of Jericho Hill.
See, okay, good. I was like, am I gonna get more of those stories? Because
No.
what?
I think
That's a
that
whole.
I think that Marvel did a couple comics, but I don't know if they're
There are
considered
Dark
canon.
Tower comics, and those are on my. I'm buying those onto my e-reader to always have them.
Yeah, I think those are just. I don't know if they're mainline universe or like alternate universe Dark Tower. It's very confusing.
And that's why I want to read all of it and understand it all in the widest scope.
Yes, it is. It is beautiful.
So far, I've enjoyed it. Like, I think I've enjoyed this more than I enjoyed reading the Harry Potter series, and that was my favorite series for a while.
I also do love my Harry Potter series, but I just feel like the Dark Tower's adult. Like it's not meant for younger readers.
Oh shit, at this point in time, I'd say even younger readers, if you like scary stuff or just obscure stories, get on it. And just remember, the first book in the Dark Tower series, The Gunslinger, is more of a poem than it is really a novel.
It's, in my opinion, it's also the worst.
No, it's horrible. It is so slow and grueling. You're in a desert, then you're in a cave, and then you're at the end.
Yeah. It is the most boring, unfortunately, but what it leads into...
So, I mean...
What it leads into is beautiful.
Glorious. Absolutely magnificent. Like you said, it's his magnum opus. Now, Vince, what did you think of the book? Should people read it? Should people throw it on a fire?
I mean, it's a good initiation book to start you into Stephen King's works, especially if you're not big on horror, the genre, King himself. But it is an interesting read. It does, broaden the horizons and make you think about things. It's a good, just standalone story as it is. And I think that's kind of where Stephen King holds up, because it is a little bit more human. It is a little bit more adult. It is a little bit more raw. He doesn't spoon feed you anything. It's just I don't know.
I think it's like his matter-of-fact way.
Mm-hmm. It's so...
This is it. This is how life is. Either you take it, you look at it, or you don't.
Yeah, and very much like those grim fairy tales, it is unbelievable in the sense that it is.
Yeah.
So it is a good read. I recommend it.
Now, my final thought on all of us recommending it to read, I want everybody to go in, because when I first started it, it caught me off guard a little bit. Stephen King will describe a blade of grass that has absolutely no fucking relevance to the plot.
It's
with an artist's paintbrush.
Yeah,
that's why you have such a good image of the town, but fuck does he run on.
Young King was really bad with adjectives. Even he admits it. So there's multiple versions of The Gunslinger. The first one, which I have somewhere, they doesn't even have the Battle of Tull, I believe. So they get rid of the main exciting part from the first half, but it was just so full of adjectives. And then there's the revised version, which is what the audiobook is based off of, and he removed shit tons of adjectives, he says, and added in some parts because it was originally written as a 5-part series in magazines.
And honestly, with that statement that you just made about him, that's his testament as an author. He will go back and critique his older works and go, all right, I was kind of running a bit long at the mouth there, wasn't I? And I have utmost respect for people that go, yeah, I fucked up when I was younger, but I can fix it now.
That's also what I love about The Stand, the uncut version. He didn't add everything that he cut out, but he added 90% of what he cut out back in. And it just makes it such a better book.
The kid should never have been cut out of that book.
Oh my god, I hate the kid.
You're supposed to.
I know.
You're supposed to hate him, and it's supposed to humanize you towards the trash can man.
Yes, but we shall talk about that more next time.
Yes. Well, maybe. You haven't told us what book to read next.
Oh, well, I just did.
The Stand?
Yes.
Okay, well, that I don't need to read. That one stuck with me very well indeed.
Vince, I suggest you use my Audible, my friend.
Yes, I will start.
Yes,
it's beautiful. If you do painting, you could just plug it into your ear and go.
Oh my goodness, Cat. Hello.
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I listen to mine at work while I wash dishes all day, so I mean, it's sweet.
And I believe that's that for today. Thank you everyone for coming and listening, and we hope that you will return.
for our trail to the Dark Tower.
Aw.
Until then.